Hey guys, how goes life? I hope you're all swell and jolly, taking care of yourselves and taking care of each other, trying to find some peace and some sanity throughout this whole ordeal. It's like I say in every post, it's a crazy time, and I hope that you're finding some way to be mentally stable during it. But that's not what this post is about. This post is about fertility. You guys know that more than anything, I want to be a mom. Like, I want to have kids of my own. Um, I've shared in the past that I have been pregnant twice. They both ended in abortion. The first because I was really young and really scared, and it was, in retrospect, the best alternative or outcome for me and the person that I was with at the time. The second time, it was with the same person, but the the child had a defect that would have caused it to die, whether 6 months in or 6 months out. So again, we made the best possible outcome for us in our situation at that time. It is not something that I take lightly. It is not something that I boast about. It's not something that I I can't say that I'm not open about it, because I'm very open about it, because it's very therapeutic for me. It's not something that I'm proud about. I don't regret it, however. Like, I've gone through the regret stage. I believe that I'm forgiven. I've forgiven myself. So, all I can do now is move forward and hope for the best. Um, I recently turned 30, as you guys know. That was a big deal for me. And 30, growing up in like the environment that I did, if you're not married with a child or have any kids by 30, then essentially there's something wrong with you, and blah, blah, blah. And while I am clearly not one for the stereotypes, there is something about the age that made me want to mature, made me want to get all of my affairs in order, and really just check on myself. So while we've been shut down, while I've been dealing with, my dad and my uncle and work and, therapy and all that stuff, I did make the decision to, get myself checked out. Late last year, I was in the process of learning about what it means to freeze your eggs. During that time, I was told that I have a fibroid. I am still a little unsure on what fibroids are. I do know that they more so occur in black women than they do in any other variety or genre or race of women. No one really knows how they occur or why they occur. It's not many studies on them, but they do occur, and essentially it can alter pregnancy. And you guys know, like, I want to be a mom. I want to have kids more than anything. With that said, let's talk about it. So late last year, I was told that I have a fibroid. I was told that I have a fibroid. Otherwise, like, aside from that, my uterine health is very healthy. But I left it alone. I left it alone until recently, when I had my annual, and I talked to my doctor, and I was like, hey, when I went to the specialist, he told me I had a fibroid. I want to make sure everything's going well. So he sent me in for an intravaginal sonogram, because he didn't feel a fibroid. So when we got the sonogram, it showed that I do have a fibroid, and it's growing in my uterus. Aside from the fibroid, my ovaries, medical terms here, are grossly normal. I don't know what that means, and I asked my doctor about it, and he said that's just the term that we use to say that your ovaries are normal. If the fibroid is something that concerns you, and it does, because it's we have a couple of things going on with the vaginal health in the family or whatever. Um, it's something that concerns me. So if we can fix it, I want to fix it. If we can't fix it, let's figure out how we can make the best out of it. So today I went in for a procedure which is called a hysterectomy. I think I'm saying that right. And it was so painful. Oh my gosh, was it painful? Like, the idea is that, my doctor sticks a camera into my uterus to figure out, what's going on. And while doing so, in this very uncomfortable, like, it was physically painful and uncomfortable. Well, during this procedure, we determined two things. That one, I have a very weird yet beautiful cervix, and two, the procedure was less than fruitful. We were able to get an image. We were definitely able to get an image of my uterus in the fibroid, but we weren't able to determine anything concrete. And it actually left my doctor kind of flabbergasted, like he was at a loss for words. So we we discussed the fibroid. We discussed the course of actions. Like I said, it left him with very little answers because he couldn't access the points that he needs to access because I have a weirdly beautiful cervix. I have a grossly normal ovary and I have a weirdly beautiful cervix. It's so weird. Anyway, so he wasn't able to access what he needed to access. So the next course of action is to get an MRI to figure out what's going on in there. So I was able to see the fibroid, and I was able to determine with my doctor that the fibroid is very, very close to my uterus. Now, if we were to go in and surgically remove this fibroid, I run the risk of damaging my uterus to the point where there could be a hole in the uterus. And if there were that, then we'd have to go in and repair that, and that scar tissue could damage me in pursuing, children and pregnancy. So the alternative is to take out the fibroid and risk the chance of, having more issues than I started with, or leave the fibroid where it is, hope for the best, or, if it does lead to a point where the fibroid does cause some issues in pregnancy, we combat it. But like I said, that's something I will determine after the MRI. We haven't scheduled it yet, but it is definitely in the works. I don't know if I'm scared. Like, I want children more than anything, and I know, like, physically I may not be able, like, that's a reality. Physically I may not be able to have children of my own, and I don't blame anyone. I don't take any blame for anything. It's just the way the cards may work. So it's a 50% chance that I'll be able to have children on my own. It's a 50% chance that I won't. But I'm not going to let that, stop me from my pursuit, because I think I'm going to be a great mother, regardless of the situation. You know what I'm saying? So if it turns out that I can't have children of my own, then, just take this time. I've already talked myself into it. Take this time, get yourself together. Adoption was always in the works for me, whether or not I have children of my own. I was always going to adopt, so like that'll just be the focus. But hopefully after this MRI, we'll be able to determine the proper course of action. But like I said, I do have a beautiful cervix, apparently. I have a grossly normal ovary. Freezing my eggs might be the best alternative. And even if that doesn't work, I'm all for adoption. I'm all for fostering a child. Like, that's just where I've always felt like I've been leading to, Like, the dream was to have two of my own and then adopt a child, later in life. But if that's the path that I've been given, then I'm more than happy to embrace it. But like I said, it's scary. It's very scary. Like, for years I felt like I couldn't have children, and now to know that this is all so mixy, it's just like it's a little disheartening. But again, it's not something that's gonna make me depressed or angry or upset or regretful. Like, this is just what's in the cards for me. But in any case, guys, I will keep you up to date on my fertility journey. My goal, my hope, my want is to have a child within the next 2 to 3 years. Also, to get married within the next 2 to 3 years. When you're like a celibate monk, the prospects of having kids of your own is probably not high. But that's what I am right now. So yeah, I'll definitely keep you guys up to date. In the meantime, be happy, be merry, my loves. Take care.